Hello friends, it is past my bedtime, but a new Dota patch is out, so I want to run through some highlights real quick. It will not be a long video. It's a relatively small patch. First off, a change to Overwhelming Blink, and in my opinion, this is a very targeted nerf at Tinker. There's a recent build where you kind of go like this tank Tinker build. You get Overwhelming Blink, you get Shivas, and you're just kind of like blinking in, and in combination with your new shield ability, he is extremely hard to kill, and he's doing a lot of damage every time he rearms. He's not even a strength hero. So what they've done is they've changed it from 200 damage plus 100 strength to 100 damage plus 150 strength. So this isn't even necessarily a nerf to the item. For strength heroes, this is a buff in the late game. The break-even point is 200 strength, where 200 strength before would be 400 damage, 200 plus 200, and now it is 100 plus 300 based on your strength. So when you reach more than 200 strength, this item is better than it was before. If you have 200 or less strength, this item is worse than it was before. Most non-strength heroes don't build Overwhelming Blink. It was specifically Tinker that was making this a problem. So for strength heroes, this will still be fine. They aren't really buying this item for damage. Well, for some damage. They want the instant blink cancel, but they don't really need to kill someone with the damage. So they're still happy to get the 25 strength, and in the late game, if they do get past 200 strength, they're happy with the increased damage they get. It is just Tinker who is going to find this particularly nerfed, and we're going to go back to maybe more normal Tinker builds. In terms of neutral items, Tumbler's Toy is, to me, one of the more interesting ones, 10 seconds down from the cooldown, so I think the most practical use of this, which I still don't know if it's that practical, but before, if you had no way to check high ground, you could technically use Tumbler's Toy to get onto a cliff and then off the cliff. But 30 seconds was quite a long time to sit on the cliff. 20 seconds, though, kind of willing to do that if I don't have a way to check high grounds and I'm not really willing to put an observer there. If I think it's safe enough, I'm kind of willing to wait 20 seconds. So I think that's the most interesting change about this. You also can no longer cast Tumbler's Toy when you're rooted or leashed, but to be honest, I thought this is how it worked anyways, because this is how it usually works for most mobility spells. So this is a nerf, but really it's just bringing it in line with how it probably should have worked the whole time. Nether Shawl is becoming a more neutral item, a more like well-rounded item. Before it was really, or not really, it was like bad against physical damage, good against magic damage. Now it's more like kind of bad against physical damage, kind of good against magic damage. So it's not so polarizing when you use this item, making it extremely good in some games and then not very good in other games. So it's a little more rounded. The others are some tier 5 items, so honestly, you won't see these changes too much, but they're all nerfs to the items. Let's get to hero changes. We're just going to hit the big ones. Bane, one of the big winners of these recent patches, but he's receiving some nerfs in the recent ones because he was too good. So Nightmare, in the late game when it's maxed out, it's actually a buff to the ability, but in the early game, especially at level 1, you're losing 40 damage off this ability. That is essentially 1 auto attack's worth of damage. That may not seem like a lot, but Bane functions as a hero that really wants to win the laning stage. And so every little buff he gets to that, he becomes a better hero. And every nerf he gets to that, he becomes a much worse hero. So Nightmare losing 40 damage at level 1 is pretty big. It is how he was getting solo kills. Or maybe not like solo, but like he threatened more kills with Nightmare and Brain Sap. Speaking of which, Brain Sap also getting 3 seconds longer cooldown at level 1. At max level, it's the same. So Bane, at the end of the day, still going to function the same in mid to late game team fights, but his early laning stage is going to be worse. It's going to be not so easy to just first phase pick Bane and then have a solid time every game. Some small changes to these guys. Broodmother, I think I'm going to highlight real quick. Before, you needed 2 points in Spin Web to get 4 charges. Now you just get it at level 1, and at the end, you'll have 10 charges. So I think this helps Broodmother a lot. She can put a value point in Spin Web and then dedicate a lot of other skill points to her other abilities. So I think she's getting there. I don't know if I'm happy about that, but I think she is getting there. We might see more Broodmothers. Clinks, slight buff. Let's not worry about it too much. Clockwork, like armor change. Dawnbreaker, She was becoming popular as a support, 5 and 4, but she is getting some nerfs. So at level 2, Dawnbreaker was terrifying, guys. And I specifically want to highlight this slow. It was 35% slow at all levels before, but now it is starting at level 1, it's a 24% slow, and at max level, it's a 36% slow. So when it's maxed, it's technically better, but it was specifically at the very start of the game where this was a terrifying ability to trade with her. This, combined with the Starbreaker nerfs, should make her still viable, I think, but not as good. Not like I win the lane with these 2 spells after I cast them once, and that feels really bad. Now it's a bit more balanced. Some nerfs to some of these guys. Gyrocopter, Mars, who's been a very flexible hero for a long time. 10 more mana on God's Rebuke makes him harder to be a core. Monkey King getting a nerf to this ult. Ice Frog really doesn't want to see support Monkey King, I guess. Pango losing 5 move speed. Pango was a support very recently. People were playing him as that. That received some nerfs, now receiving another one. So core Pango, in my opinion, doesn't care as much about this because he does get enough gold. He gets levels in his abilities. So his core Pango's mobility, 5 move speed off, not going to be the end of the world. Support Pango's mobility is much more restricted. He is poorer. He does not get as many levels. So he will have a harder time trading people, specifically in the laning stage, with 5 less move speed. But then later on in the game too, he will feel this 5 speed decrease a little bit more than core Pango. So to me, this is mainly targeted at support Pango, but also affects core Pango just a bit. Ricky is a surprising change. He actually just got 10% more mischance at all levels on Smokescreen, and I don't really know why, because Ricky already has a pretty solid win rate. I don't see him as much as some other cores, but his win rate's good, so I'm kind of surprised by that. He might... This is a lot. This is pretty much requires you to have MKB or BKB to deal with the Ricky, so I'm kind of surprised by that. Now, Silencer, he was an extremely popular hero, core and support, but especially as a support, he was doing so much damage, and that has been nerfed a little bit. So Arcane Curse had a damage multiplier when they were silenced, and it went from ×2 to ×1.7. To put that into perspective for you guys, at max level Arcane Curse plus the talent, that does a total of 55 damage per second. Your E, last word, at max level silences for 6 seconds. This combo lost 100 damage with this multiplier change. If you combine it with your ult as well, it lost 200 damage. That's pretty much another spell's worth of damage to most people, and Silencer was just doing that. I think Silencer will still be a good hero, but he was quite overtuned, and this should help reduce that. Sven receiving another nerf. He already received nerfs in the past, but he was still probably the best, well, one of the best cores. Results may vary depending on your pub games, but another nerf to him should drop him down. The Tinker nerfs, because Tinker was becoming quite annoying, he got some mana increase to his rearm. This should help reduce the amount of rotations of spells he can use before he has to go back. And Heat-Seeking Missile lost 10 damage off of every level. At max level, not such a big deal. It will still be annoying, but in the early game, especially support Tinker, rockets is missiles technically is a very cheap spell, and so he was spamming it out. Very annoying to deal with. 10 less damage makes it a little easier to deal with. Still annoying, but easier. We're not trying to kill the hero completely. I don't know. It depends on what your opinion of Tinker is. I'm okay with it, but it shouldn't be so oppressive, and that's what these kind of changes are. Been seeing a lot of core tinies lately, so some nerfs to his toss damage and the cooldowns on tree grab should make that a little worse, but still playable. And Undying got a buff. So Tombstone takes another hit at every level to kill. I don't know. This is a lot of buffs in a row. I'm pretty sure Ice Frog really wants to see core Undying at TI, and he's only receiving buffs slowly and slowly. I think you're going to see it, guys. So keep an eye out for core Undying. It's already kind of being done, and I think this is just another reason to do it. Now, if you're wondering, support Undying is still viable, but for example, part of what made Undying possible as a core is the decay change, giving decay double damage against creeps, giving him a farming mechanic. Support Undying, not really going to use that. So support Undying is still fine, but these changes kind of enable core Undying a bit more than support Undying. Vengeful Spirit, another nerf to her. Vengeful Spirit plus Ags is all the rage in all the roles right now. So should just be slowly worse and worse. I don't know when it will die out, like what is the break point. But we're going to keep seeing small nerfs like this until Venge is not building Ags first every single role. The last hero I really want to highlight is Weaver. Well, actually, okay, Warlock also received some interesting buffs. It kind of makes his early game a little better. So shout out to Warlock. I don't know if it's huge, though. But Weaver is very popular right now, and he is receiving a slight nerf to his damage and a slight nerf to the shard on the swarm. This should help because he's pretty oppressive in the right lanes. And so reducing his damage a little bit should help make him miss, some last hits here and there. Make his harass a little worse. Don't forget, like, he has the Geminate attack, so any reduction to his base damage is actually then, like, kind of multiplied by 2 if you think about the Geminate attack. So you're taking a bit less damage there. And then the Swarm is just very annoying to deal with, so the cooldown will be a little longer, but not that much, but, a nerf's a nerf. And then the other heroes are kind of small changes, but not terribly critical. So that's kind of it for patch 7.30D. It's really just trying to tune in the most broken heroes with a special focus on Tinker. So all the heroes you like, probably still fine. All the heroes you didn't like, probably still in a kind of a weird spot. But everyone should be pretty close. The game's feeling mostly balanced. This targeted kind of the worst offenders. Tinker, Silencer, those kind of guys. So that should be it. Thank you for watching, guys. That's it, actually. I can't think. I'm going to bed now. Goodbye.